Welcome back to Buzz Recaps. Today I will explain a romantic drama film released in 2015. Before moving ahead, make sure to like this video and subscribe to our channel. The movie begins with a boy named Thomas who lives alone in Canada. One night, suddenly an unknown woman asking for help gave her child to him and threw herself in front of the car and killed herself. At the same time, an ambulance was sent there, and there was a paramedic named Pascal in that ambulance. Thomas was not ready to leave that woman's child, however. At the police's request, he let that child go. Pascal was trying his best to save that child's mother, but the way to the hospital was not easy. And by the time they reached the hospital, that woman had died. That same night, Thomas's mother, Sophie, came to Thomas's city. She was a French actress who had not met Thomas for 3 years. She didn't know that a nurse named Marie would soon come into her life and would change everything for her. Sophie was just worried about how to fix her relationship with Thomas simultaneously. Thomas couldn't think about his mother because of the accident that happened that night. The woman he was thinking about, Marie, sent her body to the morgue and people forgot about her after taking her there. Only Thomas kept thinking about her, and he went to his friends to run away from her thoughts. And then he went to a party. After completing his work, Pascal and his colleagues went home. At the same time, Marie had to stay in the hospital. Later, Pascal was having an affair with a married woman, and the woman named Madeleine said that she could leave her husband for Pascal. However, if Pascal loves her, he will have to forget Madeleine. Later, just like Pascal, Thomas and Marie were going through different problems. Sophie had come to that city for a film shoot. At the same time, she was not happy with that film's story, and that's what she said to her director and her boyfriend Robert Adat sometimes. Things started to get worse for her when she didn't get any news about Thomas. A few days later, Thomas met his mother and came to her film set. Sophie was relieved to see Thomas. At the same time, Robert was upset that he hadn't received any news about Thomas for 2 days. Thomas didn't want to give him any answer because Robert was not his birth father. That's why Thomas has been trying to find out about his birth father for many years. And Sophie never tells him anything about his father. Thomas doesn't even know his father's name. That's why he stays away from his mother. After leaving, Thomas went to meet his friend again, who was at home with his boyfriend at that time, and after seeing Thomas worried, his friend stopped him at his home. On the other hand, Marie was spending time alone, and she was thinking about her son who never talked to her. Neither was there anyone to support her in Marie's life, nor was there anyone in Pascal's life. That's why they both pushed themselves into their work. Later, Sophie's work continued, while even after a few days she was not happy. She was tired of Robert's story and his thoughts, and at the same time, she was not able to stop working. Pascal's friend understood that he was not well. Meanwhile, Pascal only said that he couldn't sleep well. Sophie, on the other hand, decided to spend time with Thomas, and she started asking him about his life. Thomas told her that his boyfriend had left him. However, that didn't make any difference to him. Thomas's mother was upset. She took him to a fantastic place, and she thought that Thomas would be happy there. At the same time, Thomas was shy and didn't like socializing with the world. And because his mother was an actress, she wanted to be seen everywhere in the world all by herself. She sang a song in front of everyone to make Thomas happy, and Thomas got even more embarrassed by hearing her music. That night, while working, Pascal was called to an accident spot where a 22-year-old boy needed an ambulance. Later, after the song, Sophie gave Thomas a letter. He read and lost his mind and got angry at his mother. This time too, Thomas could not know the name of his father, and he said that a woman had left a child in his hands and died. That child will never even know his mother. Only Thomas, not Sophie, can understand this pain. In anger, he left the hotel and headed towards the road where Pascal was driving an ambulance. Because Pascal was in a hurry, he could not see Thomas. And Thomas and Pascal both had an accident. Pascal called another ambulance and quickly took Thomas to the hospital without wasting time. Mary and Pascal were both afraid that Thomas would lose his life. Meanwhile, Sophie was unaware of her son's accident. She called Thomas many times while no one in the hospital could see the phone. After a while, Robert came to Sophie. At that time, it was revealed that Robert's film was about Sophie's life, and that idea was Sophie's. However, with time, Sophie started to think that was not a good idea. On the other hand, Pascal has begun to regret his mistakes. That is why he did not even pay attention to his injury. Years ago, he had another accident. He is still bothered about that. After hearing his story, Mary also told him about her son, who died of drowning. Mary has also not been able to get out of that regret. And after hearing her story, Pascal felt better. While earning his injury treatment, when he talked to a doctor about Thomas, he found out that because of this accident, Pascal had saved Thomas's life. not that he has put him in danger. Pascal did not understand anything. And the doctor also did not tell him anything when Robert got the news of the accident, he told Sophie, and they both reached the hospital. Mary took them to Thomas. At the same time, she said that he was in the operating theater. Sophie did not get a chance to meet Thomas, and she started waiting for the operation to end. After a while, Mary told her that the operation that Thomas was going on was related to his heart. Sophie also found out that Thomas had collided with an ambulance, and she said that she wanted to meet the driver. At the same time, Mary refused to tell her anything. Mary told Pascal about Sophie, and he said that Thomas had just come out of the operation theater. Mary wanted Pascal to go home and rest. She did not want to tell Pascal about Sophie. So, she had to face Sophie. However, instead of leaving the hospital, Pascal went in front of Sophie, where Sophie was not ready to forgive Pascal. And the situation got worse when Pascal went in front of her. At Mary's request, Pascal had to leave the hospital. Sophie was also angry at her boyfriend and said he was responsible for all her situations. And she said that if something happened to Thomas, she would never be able to forgive Robert. That's why Robert left from there, thinking that Sophie was in trouble. After taking care of herself, Sophie went to meet Mary. She apologized for her behavior and said that Pascal had saved Thomas's life. The doctor told Sophie that Thomas had a heart disease that no one knew about, and that he could die at any time. And because of the accident, he got the proper treatment. Sophie told Mary about her relationship with Thomas. She said that she could not be a good mother. That is why she is regretting it. Mary also told Sophie about her son. She said that after her husband's death, her second son is living with his grandmother, and that Sophie and Mary took care of each other. And because of Mary, Sophie's mind started to change. A few days later, Thomas came to his senses. At that time, Sophie apologized to Thomas, and slowly Thomas's memory started to return. For Thomas's sake, Sophie told him she was not telling him about his father's name, because she said that she was going to get an abortion, and then she decided to give birth to Thomas. The truth was that a man had raped Sophie, and he wanted Sophie to get an abortion. That is why Sophie never mentioned that man. Suddenly, Thomas's health started to deteriorate, and Sophie thought that he had lost him forever. However, that was not the case. Right at that time, an unknown woman called Mary to her bar. Pascal had drunk too much. That is why Mary had to go there to take him home. And Mary understood that she had to spend time with him to care for Pascal. The days she was past. And while working, Sophie kept waiting for Thomas to recover. Amidst that, Pascal and Mary's friendship got worse when Mary told him that she was going to meet her son, because now she had to face her son. Hearing that, Pascal told her to come with him. And the next day, they both went to meet Mary's son. Later, Thomas also recovered and was discharged from the hospital, and went to Sophie's film set. At that time, Sophie shot the part of her life in which Thomas came before her for the first time. Thomas was shocked to see her mother acting in that scene. Thomas realized that he had always misunderstood Sophie for someone else, and after that day, he stopped trying to know about his father forever. And that's how an accident connected 4 people's lives. And because of that accident, all 4 of them found a way out of their grief. With that, the movie ends here. Thank you for watching the video. Make sure to like and subscribe. See you next time. Take care.